You're gonna learn how to cook the best steak in a cast iron pan in this video, so let's get into it. First of all, we need really high quality meat. ButcherBox sent me this. I've been using ButcherBox for like a couple months now, and they are legit. They send you grass-fed steaks, which I thought the whole grass-fed thing was like BS, but these steaks really do make a difference. They actually are delicious. So we're gonna go through the exact steps you need to make the best steaks of your life. All right, so first step is you have to pat them completely dry. Now the reason you're doing this is you wanna get all the moisture off of the steak so you get a nice sear on the steak. You wanna make sure they're bone dry. Like you see this, that all has to come off and you gotta get it really, really dry. Normally when steak comes out of the package, it's all wet, so get it as dry as you can is step number one. Step number two is seasoning. I like the trio of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. It's the easiest thing and it tastes the best. Don't be afraid to salt it pretty heavily because most of that seasoning is gonna get stuck in the pan anyways. Come in with pepper. I like to just put a lot of seasoning. Like the number one reason your food probably doesn't taste good is because you're under seasoning it. When you use a lot of seasoning, that's how you ensure it's gonna taste really good. In restaurants, they usually over season it. Now what you're gonna do is of course, season both sides. Little trick for some extra flavor, just take it and rub your fat and the sides on the seasonings on the board. So you can see, that way the whole steak is entirely coated in the seasoning. And now you're ready to start cooking. All right, so very important, when cooking with cast iron, you have to preheat it. Just put this thing on super high and let it go for like at least 2, 3, 4 minutes until you get your hand close enough to where you can't keep it there. So we're gonna wait like 3 minutes, we're gonna let this thing heat up, and then we're gonna throw in some oil and start cooking the steaks. All right, rule number 2, cooking with cast iron inside, you're gonna wanna turn on your fan on high and open up your window, because it is gonna get smoky in here. You're cooking on a very high heat, and it's gonna get smoky, it just is what it is, so don't be afraid. If you have smoke alarms, turn them off. As far as your oil in the pan, you could use olive oil. I traditionally use olive oil, but I have avocado oil. Avocado oil is a higher smoke point oil, so it won't taste as burned when you're cooking with high heat. So if you have avocado oil, use it. If you have olive oil, use it. It's the same thing, but either of them are gonna work, so it's not that big of a deal. So come here, you see the pan? The pan is starting to smoke with no oil in it. Now, that's how you know it's ready. When you put your hand there and you can't keep it there, that's when you know it's ready. So come in with a generous amount of oil. You kind of really want to coat the bottom of the pan, swirl it around, and when you see that oil shimmering like that, that's how you know it's ready. So what I like to do is come in fat side down and press. And if you put that steak in the pan and you do not hear a sizzle, your pan is nowhere near hot enough. You better see some smoke and you better get some sizzle. So once you put it in, you can put it on a nice medium to high heat, still keeping that heat pretty high throughout this entire cook. This steak is gonna take about 6 to 7 minutes. It's about 1 inch thick. So for a nice medium rare is what we're going for, that's what it's gonna take. So you can see we're starting to build that crust. You don't wanna play with it too much, but I just wanna check it to make sure we're not burning it. And we're gonna let it sit there for a couple minutes now. You're just watching it. You don't wanna let it get too hot. You don't want it to be too cold. And then you're looking for a nice golden brown, which we should get there in about 2.5 to 3 minutes per side. About 3 minutes. And get yourself a thermometer. We're looking for 125 internal temp. All right, so after a couple minutes, check this out. You're starting to see that golden brown form. This is the color we're looking for, but we want that throughout the entire steak. So we'll let it go a little bit longer. This one's starting to get it right there, so this one will flip over. Pan is a little hot towards the back, so you can even switch them if you want. Right before you're about to flip, if you move it around like this, it spreads the oil out, giving you a much evener chance to get that golden brown crust. All right, so it's been about 3 more minutes on this side, and you can see that crust is starting to form real nicely, and then just turn it back over on the other side. Just watch your heat, make sure everything's good. One thing I like to do is, you see this gray band on the side? Let me show you. You see that gray band on the side? You can flip it on its side to cook and get a crust on that side as well. And you can put them together. You can use the side of your pan. You can hold them. That way you're getting a nice crust on this side as well. So now what I like to do is we're gonna take some butter and finish it to baste. So it's been cooking for about 7 minutes. For the last 30 seconds, we're just gonna baste it. So take probably about a little bit more than a tablespoon, something like that. Throw it in. Let that butter melt. Move the steaks to one side. typically to the top of the pan. Let this butter start to melt and foam, and then all you're gonna do is just baste. Spoon over that nice golden brown butter. And your butter needs to be foaming to get it nice and crispy and basty. If not, you're gonna ruin the crust on the steak. What I like to do halfway is just flip it so we're getting flavor on both sides. And then continue to baste. And that pretty much feels done. It's been about 7.5 minutes. That's what I think is good for medium rare. Again, use your thermometer if you really wanna be sure. But I think we're there. You gotta let these rest for 5 minutes and then we'll cut them open to show you the medium rare. Now what you're looking at is not burnt, that is char. Char is flavor. It's a nice flavored crust. All right, so it's been resting for about 5 to 7 minutes. Let's cut it in and show you what it looks like. Should be perfectly medium rare. That's how I like it. A little bit blue, but that's medium rare. And let's look at Denver Steak, who she wanted a little bit more medium. Perfect. Medium rare, and I guess we gotta try it, right? Look at this. You take some of these board juices, some of that butter, absolutely gorgeous. Let's give it a try. Salty, peppery, you get the crust, you get the butter. It's absolutely delicious. This is the best way to make a steak. Again, the quality of your beef matters. So click the link in the description to get a discount on ButcherBox. Like legit, super, super good. They've sent me really quality meat. But guys, go make this. If you haven't made this already, you gotta try it. Absolutely delicious. I'll see you guys on the next video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Peace.